Let's take a look at warehouses and warehouse locations next. First, we'll go to Warehouse, and then we'll go to Manage Warehouses, where we'll see a list of all warehouses on the system. I have two warehouses named Main Warehouse and Test Warehouse. To add a new one, you simply click Add New Warehouse in the top corner, and to edit one, you can see the Edit button on the right-hand side. If we edit Main Warehouse, we could change the name of it, Details. We have some on-off switches here. By default, you should have the top three on. You can then also turn the next one on to allocate based on location type priority. This means if you have bulk locations and picking locations, for example, you can set priorities to them so that when orders come in, stock is allocated first from pick locations, and then if there's no stock in the pick, it will be allocated from the bulk. If we scroll down past this, we have some address information. This is used as the sender address when you're creating shipments, so it's important that you get this correct on your warehouse. Let's create some warehouse locations. First, we'll need to go to Warehouse, Extras, and make sure that we have all of the location types that we need. For example, you could have pick and bulk locations, but you can also add any location types that you need. You can set priorities against them. For example, pick is priority 1 and bulk is priority 2. You can also mark locations as offhand, meaning the stock is not available for sale and doesn't show up in your available stock. You could use this to create a quarantine zone, for example. You can then also mark locations as replen only, which means orders can't be picked from them, but the location is available for replenishment to top up picking locations, and that stock is also available in your total stock figures. You can then also mark location types as totes. So you could create totes as locations for when picking orders. It's quite easy to add a new location type. You can just click Add Location Type in the top right hand side and fill in the relevant information as mentioned. Next, you'll need to fill in a spreadsheet of locations. So we'll go back to Warehouse, Extras. Here you can click on Upload Locations and you can download a template. On the template, you'll see a few columns. The first is the internal location ID. You don't need to fill this one out in the first instance, as Mintsoft will do it for you as new locations are created when you upload this. You then need to fill in the warehouse name where you're creating your locations, and then you can set the zone, aisle, bay, and shelf. You can then set the location name and simple location name, which in most cases would be exactly the same information. You can then set your location types, such as pick and bulk. You can set exclude verification when picking, which is a true or false value. This means if you've turned a setting on your warehouse on Mintsoft that you have to scan locations when picking, you can mark certain locations that they don't need picking. The default is that no locations will need picking. You can then also set the pick sequence, which is the walking route when picking multiple orders and multiple products. For example, you might have to pick 10 orders with 10 different SKUs, and you will walk through the pick sequence in order from smallest to biggest to achieve this. You may have just seen on screen when this one was loading that I've got some example locations already filled out. You can see here I have a main warehouse and a second warehouse. Both warehouses only have one zone, so zone is 1. Each warehouse has an aisle A and an aisle B. Each aisle has a bay that you stop at for picking, and then each bay has 2 shelves inside it. So for example, 1A becomes 1A, and this is a pick location, whereas all of my aisle Bs are bulk locations. I then have the pick sequence for the picking. If I save this, I can close it down, and then I could upload the file on Mintsoft and click Upload. I'd then be presented with a results page, which would show line by line success and error messages on the upload, and there's a search bar. If I type into this the word error, I can easily identify errors on my upload and address them as required. Next, I can come back to Warehouse, Manage Warehouses. On the right hand side, I can click on Locations. Here I will see a list of locations that I've got on Mintsoft. There's a column which says in use, so I can see if there's any stock in those locations, and I can open the location with the arrow on the left hand side, and I can see which products are being stored there and their quantities. I can also see best before dates, batch numbers, and serial numbers if required, and I can also see the type of location storage that's happening. For example, if something's allocated to the location, or if it's quarantined and is unavailable. If I go to the top, I can filter by zone, aisle, and bay. I can also choose to see only empty locations, and I can filter by location type. If I need barcodes for my locations, I can generate these by highlighting all the locations. In bulk actions, I could click print, and I could select go. This would then generate for me barcodes for all selected locations. Keep in mind, if you can only see 10 lines on the screen, and you click print, you will only get 10 barcodes. You can view up to 1,000 lines per screen and highlight 1,000 at a time for more barcodes to be generated at once. If you ever need to make changes to your locations, you can click Bulk CSV Export, which will pull out your locations in the same format which we've just seen. The location IDs will already be included that Mintsoft has generated, so any changes you make, when you re-upload this file to Mintsoft, it will update those existing locations. You can also add new locations to the bottom of this file or to a blank file to add new locations in bulk also.